Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and this is a swatch video, but it's also, I'm combining this with my yarns of the week. I say yarns because there are two, and they are both King Cole yarns, and they are both what I would call fancy yarns, rather than just the usual kind of yarn. Really, basically, it's got a texture to it. So I've done some swatches that I will show you, but first I'll show you the yarn. And the first one, these are all taken out of my shop, which is hobbyrocks.co.uk. And if you check underneath the video, you'll see some money off vouchers and a link to the shop. So I do ship worldwide. Now this is called Opium, and straight away you can see it's got some pretty kind of funky vibe going on. So I've never seen this worked up. I've seen pictures of the garments that I can buy the patterns. So when I've bought the yarn from that from King Cole, I've looked at the patterns and considered getting some of those along with the yarn. So they kind of claim it works up lacy. So I didn't realise how that would look, so what I did was make some swatches. So let me tell you a little bit about the yarn. There's 100 grams. There's 273 yards or 250 metres. It is 54% cotton, 42% premium acrylic and 4% polyamide. So as you can appreciate, it is extremely soft. Now, it's machine washable, I believe. That means to 30 degrees. You can tell me if I'm wrong. And there's all the nitty gritty about washing instructions and swatches and needle sizes. So I have a few colours. There was one that I really wanted, which was a watermelon colour, but it was always out of stock. And so I have a grey, silver. What do they call it? Silver. How about that? They call it silver, and I think it's actually my favourite colour now. And I have a yellow and this absolutely gorgeous orange. What's the yellow called? Lemon. The yellow is called lemon, and this beautiful orange is called honey. Okay, so this one just so happens to have a little bit of this yarn caught up in the yarn band. So I was going to snip it off, and then I thought, well, actually, it's a really good way of showing you the strand of this yarn. So whereas normally you can look at a yarn and you say, yes, it's a DK, it's a 3-weight, it's an Aran 4-weight worsted yarn, or it's a chunky. Well, it goes from quite thin up to this unspun, fluffy kind of unruly bit. And then it goes back to this thin yarn, which is what creates the lacy texture. So I did that. I just grabbed this and worked up a little swatch. So I used a 4.5mm hook for it. And I thought I would see how that works. And I think this would make a really nice shawl or a wrap, or a kind of lacy sweater. I really like that. And it is actually quite easy to work with. The hardest part being that initial chain and working into that chain. As you can imagine, you've got quite a small area. But if you do your chain loosely enough, it works out okay. But I quite like these little tufty fluffy bits, and it was easier to work with than I imagined, and I quite like the way it's worked up. Now obviously this is just a UK treble crochet, which in the US is a double crochet. I didn't try this swatch with any other stitches because I didn't think that anybody would really use any other stitches with it, that it would probably just be the UK treble, US double crochet that people would kind of use it for. Any kind of pattern, stitch pattern, would be wasted because it wouldn't really show it. It really does need just plain knitting or plain crochet. Now, a few people have been asking me to do some knitted swatches when I do my swatches, and I haven't done that as of yet. I did do one actually some time ago. I showed what the camo yarn was like when I knitted it up, I think. But I decided against that because I now have a channel which is devoted to knitting, and that is Hobby Rocks. I know Hobby Rocks is my shop, but I also have a channel called Hobby Rocks, and I've done some very basic knitting tutorials. I haven't done any more since, but that's because life has taken over just a little bit for me, and I will get back on it again, but at the moment I haven't. So I feel like if I do any swatches, it really needs to be on that channel, and not a lot of people really like the knitting content on the crochet channels. I know it's kind of up to me, the content I put on, but also it would just delay my video making because I'd have to knit a whole swatch. And how big a swatch do you do? And I think that really depends on the yarn you choose. So the last swatch I did was for the Stylecraft Savannah, and I made a whole big piece because I thought you won't see the beauty of the changes in the colour. But this is a solid colour, albeit kind of a bit of an odd texture. But this one is texture and quick colour change, and that is King Cole Calypso. So they're both King Cole yarns. They're both currently now special offers because they are my yarn of the week. But as you can see, again, we've got this kind of texture. Now this is more just a wavy kind of texture, and that's all that is. And you sometimes you get a couple of colours, like you've got the white and the grey there, and then it goes into the grey. I really like this yarn, and I didn't know what it would look like worked up. Now, some of these I don't have very much left. Likewise with the opium. Some of them I'm short on stock, but others I have quite a bit. So you might find if you like a certain colour, to have a look and get it sooner rather than later. But this one is the Oyster Grey. Again, they're 100 gram balls, and they're 97% premium acrylic and 3% polyamide. They're 306 yards or 280 metres, again 30 degrees, and all your kind of needle sizes. It is lovely and soft. They both are. They both have that silky feel as well. This one almost has, because of that, a cotton woolly type feel. But even the very spun part there, it's not rough. It's just silky smooth. And this one is also silky smooth. You can feel the crinkle, and I don't know, I really like it. But this one is classed as a double knitting. Obviously that one is just too variable, but this one is a consistent wavy texture. So it is a 3-weight double knitting yarn. So that is the Oyster Grey. Now this one, I possibly don't have much of this, and this is obviously just called Cream, but I have to say it's gorgeous when it's worked up. Really does look lovely. Likewise does this one. This is a gorgeous pink, and I think I'm getting a bit too close, playing havoc with my camera there. So this one's called Pink Fizz, and seriously, it is the softest, lovely yarn, and it would be perfect to make something for a baby. I will show you the swatches in a second. But we also have this absolutely gorgeous minty green. Now this one's not a full skein. This is the one that I use, so that's why it looks less. It's called Spearmint, and it's one of my favourites. As you know, I'm a sucker for blues, and that goes for teal as well. Let me move it back. And I love this one. All these gorgeous summery oranges. That's absolutely yummy. And that, upside down, of course, wouldn't be me, would it? St. Lucia, because these ones are Caribbean Calypso. And I have a couple of Caribbean Calypsos, the other one being the blues. And it's got some greys. Oh, excuse me, I went dry. Some greys in there as well, and a little bit of oatmeal. Beautiful. And this one's called Antigua, because they are named after the most gorgeous tropical Caribbean exotic places. Okay, so let's move that all back there, and we'll aim down just a little bit, and we'll start looking at the swatches. So this, where do we begin? I've already shown you this one. So that was the only one that I made up. I was just so curious to see what that would look like made up. I'm quite liking that though. I think it would make a really, really nice shawl or something, or cardigan. So as with the other swatches I've done recently, I've made a few different shapes. So I decided to see what this one, here's the one that I was using, would look like if I made it into a circle, so that I would be maybe doing a circle into a square or making a hat, what that would kind of look like. And I really like this. Now, obviously, there are different parts to the colour of this. So that is a half treble in the UK or a half double in the US. So I made a granny square with the same yarn. And this is more grey because this part obviously picked up that part of the skein. So you do get quite a drastic colour difference if you look at it in those terms. But obviously it would be a gradual change. So those are the two kind of colours that are in this, and that's what it looks like as a granny square. I quite like it actually, and that happened with the last yarn that I did, which was the Stylecraft batik. They looked surprisingly good as a granny square, and I think this one does too. So if you can imagine making maybe the centre of a granny square and then putting a solid colour around the outside, I think that would look really effective. So I quite like that one, and that is, as I said before, called Antigua, and that's what the Antigua looks like. And I think I've got one more to show you in Antigua. Now this one was, I think, just doing rows of, that's a half treble. So a half treble, half double crochet. And I think I had a slightly larger crochet hook, and that's what it would look like if it was just solid. So it goes from one colour into the next, but obviously if you've got that over a wider piece, then that's going to be kind of interesting the way those patches kind of work out. So that was Antigua. We'll put Antigua aside. So the next one is, I think, was called St. Lucia, and this was the pattern that I really wanted to show what they look like in patterns. So this is the modern V-stitch, what it would look like if you were making something with it using the modern V-stitch, because it's no good showing the same swatch time and time again. You need to see what these things look like in a stitch kind of combination, whereas this one wouldn't look in any kind of stitch combination. So this one we can see if you were making, you can see what it would look like if you made a granny square, if you can just transfer that to orange, and if you made a circle. So now you can see if you made the modern V-stitch. It's quite nice. I like it. I think I like the way these colours fade a little bit and then get more vibrant and really kind of tangerine-y. I like that. So that is one. And this one, I decided to give it a go with the moss stitch, because I thought, well, you know, sometimes you want a nice little tight stitch to look at. And this is just moss stitch, which is a crocheted moss stitch, obviously. And I have to say, I think that's my new favourite one, because I love the moss stitch anyway, but that really is quite cute. I like that. So that's moss stitch with the Antigua. So moving away from the tropical or Caribbean ones to those more kind of solid colours. Now, I didn't make anything with the grey or with the cream. I just concentrated on the other two. So this is the half double, half treble crochet in that really lovely spearmint, I think it was, if I remember rightly. But I like this a lot. It's not got those dark and light tones which you find in the Caribbean ones. It's just more consistent. So that is what you will get. If you did a larger piece, it wouldn't look any different. So again, I decided to give it a go, making it into a circle. Now this, because it's crinkly, it does have a tendency to cup. I mean, obviously, you could block it, or if you made a hat, it wouldn't cup. It would be eventually becoming a hat. But that is what was happening with it as it was cupping. Now, I made this one slightly different from the other circle. This was a half treble, half double US. This one I made with a treble crochet or a double crochet in the US. So you can see the difference. It has become a lot looser, which you'd expect because it's a looser stitch. But yeah, it's got this odd kind of cupping that almost looks like you haven't got enough stitches, not making it flat. But it is easy to kind of pull out, and it will work out. But isn't that, I think that's quite interesting. That's purely the waviness of the stitches that's causing that. So this is really creased up, and that's because it is just a normal plain double crochet UK, which is a single crochet in the US. Now, don't take any notice of the fraying. That's only because it's an end. That is what that looks like, and I did a border all the way around it because I've done that in the past and it has straightened my swatch out. But this reminds me of one of those fish that you put in the palm of your hand and it tells you your mood because it just wants to curl up. So if it really curled up, it meant you were passionate. So obviously I am well passionate, guys. Look at that. But I'm sure you've all seen those fish. You used to get them in Christmas crackers. Anyway, this is what that tiny little stitch looks like if you're just doing plain double crochet UK or single crochet US. That's what it's like. And bordering didn't stop it from curling on this situation. So then I did another granny with this one because I wanted to see what it looked like with a more consistent colour. And there it is. That's what the granny square looks like. Okay, so that's that swatch. Then I went on to the pink, and again I just did the the half treble crochet, half double crochet, because it's my favourite stitch for a start. Plus it gives a good idea of what a small stitch looks like without the curling, because let's face it, that's annoying, right? Okay, and then I decided I wanted to see what this looked like with a proper stitch pattern. So whereas the other one I used the modern V-stitch, with this one I used that stitch pattern that I've been wanting to do as a stitch tutorial. I did it for the swatch for that cotton savannah, and I wanted to see what it looked like in this, A, because it's acrylic, and B, because it's crinkly. I still really like this stitch. Am I running the wrong way? It actually looks good either way round. I like it that way round, but I really like it that way round. You can use it either way, whichever you prefer. I like it a lot. I will do a stitch tutorial for it. I will make a garment or something, even if it's just a scarf or a shawl. But I will do something with that stitch because I really like it. Anyway, those are the swatches, and whoops, those are the yarns. So tell me, what do you think? Do you like any of these? Which do you like best? Which kind of stitch do you think suits them best? I was surprised by this one. I really liked, and it's nice to work with as well. It really is. It feels so soft, and when I was doing these, I just felt like this would make wonderful things for babies, and us adults, obviously. But I was quite intrigued by this one as well. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, all of these yarns are now on special offer because they are the yarn of the week, and that's the swatches. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. See you on the next one. Bye for now.